Hey guys, welcome to Breathe and Connect. So for this segment, we're really going to be focused on getting inside of our bodies with our breath. Breath is such an important component to your Pilates workouts. In fact, I think sometimes it's the one piece of the puzzle that kind of gets left behind when really it's the most important thing. So before we get into our movements, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 3 different types of breathing that tends to happen and which one of those we're going to focus on today. So the 3 different types of breathing most people do. The first one is we breathe from our upper chest, and that tends to be a much shallower breath. It's kind of what we do when we're not really thinking, and you'll notice that if you breathe and you direct that breath towards your upper chest, towards your upper lungs, you're not getting a full expansion of your ribs or any of the muscles involved, and sometimes it can actually feel like you're hyperventilating. So we can't feel like we're getting a full breath if we're allowing our chest to lift and to rise as we're working out or walking or sitting. The second type is what we call abdominal or belly breathing. Now, some of you that have taken yoga, they instruct you to do belly breathing, and there's a different type of breathing for yoga and a different type of breathing for Pilates. So that type of breathing, continue that in your yoga sessions if that's what you're practicing. But with the Pilates breath, we're going to learn what we're going to use today and to further use for your WundaBar exercises. So the reason why belly breathing is a problem during Pilates is when you breathe with your belly and you extend out that abdominal area, it's harder to keep the deep core muscles of stability, the ones that hold your body in place, contracted. And so when your muscles on the front of your body don't remain contracted, it unfortunately creates a vulnerability on your spine. So you have to think of yourself almost like a pulley system. If the front of your body releases that contraction, the back of your body unfortunately is going to pick up the slack. So we're going to talk about the breath we're going to use, which is rib cage breathing, and that's what we use for WundaBar and all Pilates. And that's basically expanding your ribs side to side laterally and breathing into the back of your ribs. So let's get down on the floor and see if we can feel this. Now, for some people, it's going to take a little bit more time, so feel free to pause this at any time so that you can really connect to your body and really kind of feel the difference in the breathing. So go ahead, let's lay on back onto our mat. Let's go ahead and place our feet about hip distance apart. Now from here, just let your hands be at your sides and feel yourself sink and relax into the mat. Now when we lay on our backs, we tend to flare our ribs, and so we can't allow that to happen because that becomes a disconnect with drawing up that deep abdominal core. So can you go ahead and exhale? Think of sinking your heart all the way back towards the mat, and think of gently feeling your entire rib cage sink and relax onto the mat. Now when this happens, remember not to lose your neutral pelvis. The lower back will tend to try to sink down as well. So go ahead and release the pressure off your lower back and lengthen your spine. Now from here, we're going to practice breathing. I want you to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth like you're blowing out through a teeny tiny straw. We're going to take 4 counts. Here we go. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now continue, guys. As you're inhaling, can you breathe your rib cage and the back of your spine down towards the ground so you feel those intercostal muscles, the muscles between your ribs, start to spread? And as you exhale, feel your rib cage draw and close, and your ribs are going to sink down and in and get closer to your pelvis, to your hip bones. Keep going. Inhale. Feel that breath sink you down into your thoracic spine, which is the upper portion of your spine, your rib cage. And then exhale. Feel the ribs closing in. Relax your back. It's going to want to tense. So this is the breath we want to continue on as we move forward. Let's go ahead and grab a prop. So for this purpose, I'm going to use the 5-inch playground ball. Now, if you have one of these, that's great. Or if you have a little ball that your kids play with, you can use that. But for the rest of us that don't have that, you can use a toilet paper roll. Make sure it's a full toilet paper roll, not the small one you have sitting on the side of the tub. Make sure it's nice and big. And for those of you using a toilet paper roll, I want you to place it horizontally, and you're going to place it on the back of your pelvis, not as low as your tailbone, but make sure that it's actually lower than your hips. If you have the ball, we're going to use the ball. place it on the back of your hips and go ahead and extend your feet hip distance apart and just feel as if you're melting down over that ball. Feel as if you're spreading open those hips. The different sides of your pelvis are starting to relax and spread. Now from here, I want you to inhale and I want you to extend your pelvis over the ball. It's a very small movement. And then you're going to exhale as you fall behind the ball with your pelvis. Now careful that your rib cage doesn't flare to the sky. If it flares to the sky, we lose all connection here. So we're going to inhale as we reach forward, feeling that nice engagement all the way through the deep core muscles, and then exhale as we fall behind the ball. Inhale as you're reaching forward, and then exhale as you fall behind the ball. Now keep going, guys, as I'm kind of explaining what's happening here. So you have fascia, which is a bunch of connective tissue, all throughout your body. But right behind this area where the ball is, you have a collection of a lot of fascial tissue. When that becomes really tight, you can get back pain, you can get all kinds of hip pain. And what we're doing right now is we're just rolling it out and lubricating that area. Inhale as you extend forward over the ball, relax the glutes, make sure you're not tensing the glutes or the lower back, and exhale as you fall back. Now we're going to go ahead and hold ourselves steady right on top of the ball, melting into it. And we're going to start trying to practice our pelvic floor lift. So what I want you guys to go ahead and feel, relax your glutes, relax your back, relax your abdominals and your thighs. And we want to lift up through the center of our body. If you could picture your pelvic floor like a little bowl, I want you to think as if picking up a tissue through the center of that bowl and you feel that lift going internally. It's going to be similar to the feeling that you have when you hold going to the restroom in the front and the back. But it's not going to be a clenching sensation, it's going to be a drawing up. So you engage those muscles of holding in a stream of going to the restroom, but you want to not clench. Think of drawing up like a little string and holding that lift all the way up under your rib cage. Now if you can hold that pelvic floor, you're going to release the back. Now go ahead and lift up your right knee. So we're going to come from the inner thigh on the right side. I want you to lift your right heel up so your toe is still connected. On an inhale, I want you to go ahead and slowly bring your right leg into a tabletop and allow that femur, that leg bone, to sink deep into your pelvis. Reconnect with drawing back into the base of your rib cage so we're not flaring to the sky. And then you're going to drop your foot back down. Now, we're going to go ahead and inhale as you pick the knee up and exhale as we drop it back down. Now you can switch the breath for more challenge. If you, like me, have an abdominal injury or you have a diastasis, that's going to cause you to need to inhale as you lift your knee, and then you're going to exhale as you extend it down. If you want a deeper challenge, you're going to exhale as you bring your knee up, and inhale as you lengthen back down. Reason being, keep going guys, switch legs, is if you inhale on exertion, it becomes a more deeper challenge to keep those deep abdominals connected. So if you're in a space without injury, that you're able to add that challenge, it can build up that area deeper. But if you have an injury or you have a feeling of that you just want a little more support, that's when you're going to exhale on exertion. All right, let's go ahead and hold up whichever leg you have. Now you're going to bring the other leg to meet it, so now you're in a tabletop. You're probably going to wobble around a little bit, and that's okay. Reconnect to your spine. We're going to take a deep inhale as we extend our tailbone in opposition to the crown of our head. Sink that heart deep and feel the gentle pressure of the back of your rib cage. Now from here, we're going to try both legs. We're going to go ahead and try to find that mat. Go ahead and inhale for the deepest challenge, or exhale to find yourself dropping down to the mat, and then switch the breath up. So deepest challenge would be inhale, tap, exhale, bring it back up, or exhale, feel that help contract, and then inhale, bring it back up. Good. Keep going guys. 2 more. Last one. Let's go ahead and bring our inner thighs together. Open up your collarbones and sink that heart deep down to the mat. We're going to extend ourselves on a diagonal. Now don't go too far down. Now from here you can either hang out here if this feels good, if you feel that you can connect to your deep rib cage so that your breathing is still keeping the appropriate muscles activated. If you want an added challenge, you're going to drop down 2 inches and then back up. And down 2 inches and then back up. Don't forget about your pelvic floor muscles. A lot of times, guys, where we feel like we're fatiguing out in the larger muscles while we're doing this, it's because we've lost the engagement of our pelvic floor. So I want you to lift up the center of your body, activating the front and back. Good, 2 more. Last one, hold and see if you can feel a T, like a T-zone across this area of your pelvis. The vertical line will be your pelvic floor lifting up, and the top of the T will be the feeling and sensation as if your belly button is spreading from hip to hip. And you're holding, reaching your legs away, sinking into your thoracic spine for 5, 4, 3, 2, and bring your feet back down. Go ahead and relax and melt into that ball one more time, and then lift up and pull the ball out, lay back down, and you should feel that there's a nice little hole back there because we've kind of broken up those fascial fibers. All right, let's go ahead and sit on up. We're now going to use a yoga block just so we can get a little bit of activation from some of the muscle fibers in our glutes. Now, if you don't have a yoga block, I recommend getting either 2 big books that you can stack, or go ahead and just, you can have a pillow, but make sure it's a firm pillow. All right, now from here, let's go ahead and start on our left side. Let's lay on down. Now, when you're laying on your side, you're going to want this shoulder kind of wedge forward, and that's going to keep you from being stacked. So draw that shoulder on the ground backwards so that you have nice stacked shoulders. You're probably going to feel that you're resting a little bit on your bicep, and your hips are stacked as well. And let's go ahead and move our tush back a little bit just so that we have a little diagonal. Bring your legs up into a tabletop so your knees are in line with your hips, and make sure that your ankles aren't kicking to your butt. So keep that, stacking yourself up like you're building a skyscraper. Lift up the left side of your waist and lengthen your spine. Now from here, before we even get started, I want you to lift up that pelvic floor. Remember that feeling. We're not clenching our glutes, we're not clenching our thighs, we're not even clenching our abdominals. We don't want to think of the word clench. The word clench stops every movement. Think of yourself as a circuit. If you clench one, the rest of the muscles can't be activated. So think of it as drawing up, keep it as a fluid motion inside your body. Let's go ahead and start to lift this top leg and slow it down so that you can actually activate the proper muscles on the back of the glam line. So externally rotate that top leg and start to feel a heaviness in the inner thigh of the top leg. Go ahead and elevate that top leg and just let it hover. While you're here, most of the time when we do this, our knee will start to tilt down. When that happens, we're actually putting strain on the front of our hip flexor. So can you give me a little external rotation so that your kneecap is actually parallel, a little bit more than you think, and make sure you keep your ankle in line with the bottom side of your knee. Now from here, we're going to inhale as we extend the leg and reach it away. Keep that slight external rotation so you're activating the back of your leg through the hamstring to the glute. Exhale as we bring it back in. Inhale as we extend forward. And I want you to feel that the inhale is going to help you lengthen your body. Feel the muscles between your spine kind of extend and give you more space. Exhale as you bring it back in. Now again, if this breath is hard for you, if you have a diastasis or an injury, you can exhale forward, which is going to give you more stability and support. Your TA, your transverse abdominis, it's like a muscle, like a corset. It's the muscle when you cough. It's the muscle when you exhale, and it draws back and helps stabilize your spine. So when that draws in, if you need that extra help, you can exhale forward and inhale, bring it back. Play with the breath, see which feels best for you in the moment. Now let's hold the next one back. Can you guys go ahead, keep your hips stacked, don't let your hips roll backwards, and let's extend that leg a little bit far behind. So we're going now into a hip opener. Now I want you to soften that top leg just a little bit. Give me a little knee bend so that we can get the lower leg out of the way. And I want you to externally rotate that knee as much as you can. So you're going to feel an activation of your hamstring and hopefully your glam line, which is your glutes and hamstring coming together. Now I want you to actually grab the base of your glam line, it's yours, you can grab it, it's fine. I want you to grab the base of your glam line and go ahead and gently lift it up and see if you can feel the muscle fibers start to engage. A lot of times on the back of our leg, we don't even realize that we're lifting with our back versus our hamstrings and our glutes. So as you're lifting up, I want you to feel the muscle fibers go from the center of your hamstring all the way up here. Let's close our eyes and really get deep into our body. Can you find that pelvic floor lift internally? And can you go ahead and breathe into the back of your spine, feeling your rib cages expand laterally and back. And you're holding. It's okay to feel that little shake back there. In fact, I'm tearing out of my left eye apparently, so I guess, you know, it works. All right, so from here, as you're holding here, I want you to breathe. Can you reach the leg away without extending from the knee down? So we're reaching from the inner thigh. And you're holding for 5. Make sure that top hip isn't rolling you backwards. Keep your body stacked. 4, can you lengthen out your spine, crown to tailbone? 3, don't let those ribs flare, keep them in. 2, and 1, good. Go ahead and bring that knee in and give yourself a little tap tap because I'm sure he's kind of working out. All right, let's lay on our backs. We're gonna stretch him pretty immediately. Oh, I'm sweating. All right, we're gonna cross this right shin over the left thigh and we're gonna go ahead and grab the left leg. So reach through with both legs and you're just gonna bring your body towards you and let's go ahead and press that right elbow into the thigh of the bent leg. And just relax, guys. Make sure your ribs aren't flaring. We are oftentimes tightening muscles we don't even realize. So I want you to go through the checklist. Release your back, release your glutes, release the back of your rib cage, and just breathe. Now, keeping this same position with your legs, can you let your legs start to float forward? That's going to stretch a different part of your glutes and hamstring. Now remember, you can pause this at any time if you need a longer period of time to stretch out this muscle, but for sake of this video, we're gonna go a little bit faster. Okay, we're gonna cross our knee over one another, and you're gonna grab the opposite ankles, and this is stretching your piriformis. So there's a muscle that kind of, those of you that have SI joint pain, if you're dealing with that, and that's that feeling right to both sides of your tailbone and up, that right there is where your 2 pelvic places come together and you're gonna feel a little pinch. If you do this stretch, it's gonna help release that. Now from here, let's roll towards the top leg. So you're getting that nice rotation and let your arm float up back behind you and sink that shoulder blade down so you're starting to feel a stretch across the right collarbone. Breathing deep into the body. This is where the lower back likes to pinch. If your lower back is pinching, ask it to relax and you're probably tightening your glutes. Now let's go ahead and roll back over and we're gonna do the other side. So now let's go ahead and flip on over to do the opposite leg work. Laying down, remember, make sure that shoulder doesn't roll you backwards. Keep it stacked, hips are stacked. Find your tabletop, extend your tush out, open those sit bones, lift up the right side of your rib cage. And you're gonna start that external rotation coming from the inner thigh wrapping to engage the hamstring and the glute, and you're gonna hold. Now when you're up here, don't tuck that butt. If that butt tucks underneath, your hip flexor is gonna go, ah! And we don't wanna do that. So we wanna open up the sit bones, feel that thigh bone, that femur, sinking deep into the pelvis so that we can keep that open and shift the direction into our glam line. Now let's go ahead and start our extension. You're gonna inhale. Don't let that knee tilt down. Keep it externally rotated. And you're gonna extend your leg, reach it away, reach, reach, reach. And then you're gonna exhale as you slowly start to bring it in. Feel that thigh bone sink deep behind you into your pelvis. Use your breath, guys. Close your eyes. I recommend closing your eyes when you have this time alone because you can start to really find the breath deeper into the back of your rib cage. And then you're gonna exhale as you bring it back up. Good. Inhale as you're extending. And this is less about, right now, this is less about getting some hard workout. You've already done the workouts through the other WundaBar videos. Let's go ahead and really connect to the movement of why things are moving, how they're moving, and how we can find more stability. Now let's hold the last one out. Can you go ahead and extend the leg behind you so that you have that open hip extension? And we're gonna bend the knee just a little bit, soften that knee and externally rotate. Make sure that top hip doesn't roll you backwards. Keep it stacked. Now this is where we're going to feel that activation from the hamstring. That's where we want to find it. Sometimes these muscles need help, and kind of poking them and touching them can make that neuromuscular connection wake up. So go ahead and grab the back of your glam line and lift it up just gently so that your muscles are going to start activating all the way up to your waistband. And let's just close our eyes and feel the muscles, the new muscles that might activate, might feel like little bursts of energy. You might go and tick on and then tick off. Good. Try to find peace in your breath during the chaos of a movement or a hold. If you're holding like this and your eyes are clenched, I can promise you your back is clenched, and I can promise you that your pelvic floor is not engaged. Lift up that pelvic floor, relax your eyes and your jaw, and really try to connect to the muscle fibers that are working in the proper way. All right, let's go ahead and bring that knee back down and soften it back down, and let's go ahead and stretch this glute out. So let's lay onto our backs. Now we're going to cross the left leg over the right shin, and you're going to slip your hands between that little hole and bring your thigh back up. Bend that left elbow into the left thigh and just kind of relax. Now I'm telling you, you're going to have to tell your lower back to relax, because if you're like me, when you get into this position, whether you like it or not, your lower back's going to try to crunch you up. So I want you to just ask your lower back, I know that sounds silly, but subconsciously ask your lower back to release and feel the muscles actually release. Go ahead and let your hips kind of rock forward a little bit so that you can stretch a different portion of your hamstring and your glute. Remember, again, you can always pause this if you need more help on stretching on one side than the other. If you're nursing an injury, you may want to pause this and take 20 minutes to stretch this out. Do whatever you need. Now let's go ahead and cross knee over knee and go ahead and grab the opposite feet. Again, this is that piriformis stretch. It's going to help you with your SI joint pain. And just relax. The biggest thing I can ask you to do here is just relax. That whole pelvic region is so used to being tense without us realizing it, that when you intentionally engage and release, it's going to kind of give you that nice sinking sensation. Let's go ahead and roll over to our top leg. We're going to do our rotation, and your arm is going to come back behind you. Make sure that shoulder isn't creeping up to your ear, because we don't want to stress that neck muscle. And just feel yourself relax into it, stretching across the left collarbone. Good, guys. Just breathe deep into it. Good. Now let's go ahead and bring yourself up. So you're going to lay down. The few things we're going to do is we're going to end on a teaser. So I want you to go ahead. We're going to sink in. We're going to start our abdominal curl to bring ourselves from the ground up to teaser. As I want you to go ahead and nod your chin to your chest. Think of your sternum. That's the piece of bone that connects both sides of your rib cage. Think of it driving diagonally down and out through your tailbone. When you get to your waistband, that's when your arms are going to come up. You're going to start opening up those sit bones, and you're going to sit up nice and tall. Now, go ahead and grab behind your thighs. Where you want to balance is your sit bones are the bottom of your pelvis. They're little rounded bones. I want you to rock to the back of them, so there's a space between your tailbone and the sit bones, and that soft area is where we want to balance. And can you lengthen up? Again, closing your eyes here is great because you can get deeper into your body. You're going to find teeny tiny little shake as you lengthen both sides of your body. Now, can you lift through that pelvic floor? Feel that internal structure like you're holding a stream of going to the restroom, but don't clench it. Draw it all the way up. Now from here, we're actually going to sink our thoracic spine back. We're going to go into a body roll. I want you to sink back here versus here. You see the difference of rolling the lower spine versus the thoracic spine. So you're going to inhale as you sink your upper back in. You're going to roll like a ball, and then you're going to sit yourself back up. It's actually harder than you think. Inhale, feel that thoracic spine, the ribs sink back towards the spine. Roll, and then slowly sit yourself up. Try not to use momentum. You might see that you start rolling one direction or another. That's something to pay attention to, because that's going to tell you which side tends to pull you, and we want to try to get it in the center. That'll show you an inconsistency in which part of your back is actually overacting. Now we're going to add a little click with our heels to try to hold ourselves there. You're going to sink back on an inhale, click, click, roll up to the top, sit right behind those sit bones. Two more. Inhale, roll back, click, click. Sit yourself up. Told you it's harder than it looks. And the last one, sink in, roll back, sit yourself up. Good. Now we're going to let go because we're holding in right here. Make sure you're finding that space behind your sit bones and between your tailbone. And you want to hold yourself through the center of your body. Lift up that pelvic floor front to back. Good. Sink your heart down. Make sure our ribs aren't flaring. Sink your heart down. Open your collarbones and see if you can lengthen your sit bones down into the mat as your head goes in opposition. Let's remove our left arm and then our right arm. If it feels better to bring your legs together, you can do that to get a little help from the inner thighs. And you can hang out here. If you feel wild and crazy, you can always extend your legs. I'm not feeling crazy, so I'm staying here. All right. We're gonna hold. I just want you guys to close your eyes and see if you can feel that pelvic floor lift for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2. As you get taller, you're gonna shake. It's gloriously. And 1, let your feet come down. And we're slowly gonna roll ourselves back down onto the mat. All right, now from here, set yourself up and we're gonna bring ourselves onto all fours. So let's go ahead and place ourselves. We're going to prepare for some spinal waves, some cat-cow spinal waves. Now I want your hands to be directly under your shoulders. Knees are going to be directly under your hips. Now from here, I want you to make sure you're not putting all the weight on your wrists. So can you soften your elbows back to your body as you open your collarbones? Let your biceps feel like they're kind of externally rotating, open towards the world in front of you. And sink back to the base of your palms. You can drum your fingertips. So now you don't have the weight on the tip of your fingers. I want you to go ahead and have your tops of your feet down and feel the engagement of the shins. We're going to start with a roll with our cat-cow, and I want you, instead of, most of the time when we do this, we just go wherever the back feels natural. I want us to focus on vertebrae by vertebrae. So I want you to relax your glutes, and I want you to start to curl underneath you. Go ahead and feel that lower back start that spinal wave. Go up to the lower back, mid back, upper back, relax your neck. Now see if you can start with your tailbone flattening back out. All the way, feel like you're sinking through each vertebrae, stretching the front of your spinal cord. And then you're going to exhale, relax those glutes, roll through the tailbone, and then exhale all the way through the neck. Think of your vertebrae, guys. All of your spine is a circular spine. So you have the front and the back of your spine. So through the cow position, you're extending and you're stretching between vertebrae on the front of your spine. And then as you exhale and you bring it back up, now you're stretching and opening up the back of the spine. So it's very important to slowly roll through each one of those vertebrae like a pearl necklace. If you were to lay a pearl necklace down on the table, each pearl would lay itself down independently. So really take your time, go as slow as you need, and find that spinal wave all the way through your spine. Last thing here, let's go ahead, set ourselves into neutral, open up our sit bones. I want you to go ahead, lift through that pelvic floor, bring that heart through the back of your shoulder blades, elbows are still soft, neck is in line with your spine. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna lift into a floating 4-point kneel, lift through that pelvic floor, lift that front and back. You're gonna lift your knees and you're gonna hover and hold. For 5, try to feel the extension of the spine more than what you feel from the tension of the exercise. 2 more. Touch back down. Let's do it one more time. Lift through the pelvic floor. Externally rotate those inner thighs a little bit away from one another. And go ahead and lift and hover and hold. Heart is up to the back of your shoulder blades. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and come down. Let's go ahead and shoot into a child's pose. Open up your knees. Really sink back, feeling those hips relax and stretch. Make your fingers active, guys. Don't just let yourself collapse. The closer your hands get to one another, the more you're going to stretch the upper portion of your spine. And the farther out, the more you're going to feel underneath your shoulder blades. Just breathe. Deep breath in, filling up the back of your spine, and then exhale. Let's go ahead and walk ourselves in. We're going to roll ourselves up. Bring your knees in. Sit your tush down on your feet and see if you can intentionally stack vertebrae by vertebrae. Take your time. The neck, actually, take your time to try to get each vertebrae to stack on top of one another. Sit up nice and tall. Lengthen out. Let yourself feel that breath through your body. As you inhale, feel your pelvic floor spread open. And as you exhale, feel it draw back up. Inhale, it spreads open. And then exhale, the whole body lifts back up. I don't know about you, but I'm actually sweating. So, I hope you guys had a great time. This is a great compliment to both before or after your workout, or just on a day that you need to reconnect with yourself. And as always, the pelvic floor breathing is something that you should implement in all parts of your day, including walking, standing, sleeping, and all the good things. So,